Welcome back. You're still watching Market View. This is the Tuesday edition. Thank you for staying with us. About 300 businesses out of 16,000 have been blacklisted by FINCORP for failing to honor their payment obligation. Business journalist Nosiwe Ntangamandla sits down with the Group Managing Director, Dumsani Msibi, to find out how businesses can avoid blacklisting.
MD, thank you so much for taking time to speak to us on the show. We have received information that some businesses have been blacklisted by FINCORP. Please explain to us what happens before a business can be blacklisted.
Where there is a default, there's always engagement with the client. We always encourage those that have received loans from us that if they have challenges, they come forward, they engage, and we agree on a payment plan. And this happens every day for those that have faced challenges. And in doing so, we also do our best to follow the law and to follow the agreements that we shall have signed with the borrowers. So in terms of the loan agreement that we sign, from day one, it is very clear that if you default in excess of over a period of 3 months without engaging with FINCORP, FINCORP is fully entitled to then flag that breach at ITC. That is the first point. But what we must also appreciate, that listing is at various stages. So when you have defaulted, you will receive a letter to say you are now in breach of your contract. And the letter will make reference to the contract and or the agreement that you signed. That if then you do not make good of the breach within a period of 14 days, then we shall then use the option that is available to list. So our saying, it comes at different levels. So some people are listed as tracing. So somebody has defaulted, disappeared, you can't find that person, you list and you say client being traced. Some have defaulted with no show, you list, it's a default. Some have taken up to full litigation and they still are not in a position to meet their obligations. And therefore, they end up being listed. But the most important thing here, which one has to point out, is if you have been blacklisted and you now want to come out of blacklisting, you have to approach FINCORP, engage and present your payment plan. And removal from ITC blacklisting is instant, but we have to agree on the repayment plan.
How many businesses have you blacklisted as FINCORP MD, if I may ask?
Okay, so let's start off. The portfolio as we speak, money that is sitting with the citizens is 1.6 billion. And that represents 16,000 clients. But clients that have been listed to date, according to our records, are plus minus 300 clients. So I suppose it's an opportunity to extend a word of thanks to all the 15,700 clients who are servicing their loans, and would encourage them to do so to avoid the concern that we are discussing here. Thank you very much.
I want to know who is blacklisted. I have my colleague here, for example, he comes to FINCORP, he borrows a loan, I stand in as his surety. Who is blacklisted? Is it him? Or if he fails to pay, I am also blacklisted, because that is the information that we have received, that FINCORP has also blacklisted even the people that have come as surety.
Okay. When it comes to sureties, I think we must also be clear and people must understand what does it mean to be a surety. And I must explain this. When you come through and you say, I will be a surety for this particular borrower, you are jointly and severally binding yourself with the principal borrower. So you are saying, when this person defaults, I will stand in and pay. That's a prayer. You make that prayer. I will stand in and pay. So when then the principal borrower defaults, all we have as an obligation on our side is to bring it to your attention, write to you, and say, as surety, the principal borrower has defaulted and we have exhausted all possible means to collect. We've failed. As a surety, we give you notice now that you have to stand in and honor the obligation. If not, due process then unfolds insofar as the surety is concerned. But I must hasten to indicate that we don't have too many cases of sureties. So it is in exceptional circumstances that we have a third party coming through and saying, I'll be a surety. And we have taken it to another level. So we also want to establish how the two people are linked or related or linked insofar as the business is concerned, so that it is not just somebody coming off the street and they sign sureties. So we always want to establish the link. It's either they are partners in the business, or it's either they are directors in the company, or relatives. But it happens in very rare circumstances, because citizens on their own should be able to stand, file an application and get a loan. It does happen, but it is on exceptional circumstances.
Isn't it best then, MD, to repossess whatever asset that you have bought for that small and medium enterprise holder, rather than blacklisting them? Because I feel that also reduces their chances of ever running a successful SME.
I like that example, because that's our daily life. That's how we operate. So this is what we call asset-less finance. So if you are given a loan to acquire an asset, the asset is leased to you. It is security and collateral for the debt. And therefore, in the event of a default, we will engage with you. How do you make good of this debt? You've now defaulted. We'll give you a chance to make good if you can. If there is no positive response, we will take legal action so that we can repossess the asset. And then from there on, we will go and auction the asset. Again, following the law, it will be advertised, auctioned. But what we must be aware of It is in very rare cases that you take the asset, you auction, you get the proceeds, and the debt is cleared. And there is a simple reason why that is not the case. Litigation takes time. And therefore, by the time you sell the asset, the person is heavily, heavily overdue on the debt. So once you sold, the law is very clear. You sell the asset, you credit the customer's account, you are left with the balance, and then you engage with the client in terms of the outstanding amount. And many a time, people say, you have sold my asset, I have no means of paying the residue, and I go back. There is a contract that has to be enforced. There is never a case that, oh, okay, stop paying. It will never get to that point. Remember, we are using funds that have been raised or borrowed elsewhere. So we are sitting here as an institution, we are indebted to the tune of 1.3 billion, that you must know. And we take that 1.3 billion, we give it to the citizens to finance their businesses. The expectation is that the clients will pay back so that we also honor our obligations with the funders. For your own information, we're financed by the African Development Bank, European Investment Bank, Northside Finance internationally. Locally, it's the pension funds, it's the stock exchange. So when you use all those platforms, as an institution, you have an obligation to fulfill the commitments that you face.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show, MD. Asethembe ukuthi eMaswati atawuchubeka abhadale njengoba uchazile ukuthi naye FINCORP kukhona lapho khona kufanele le mali bese uyayichubekisa ayimikise khona lapho ayiboleke khona kude amabhizinisi eMaswati achubeke nawo athuthuke singepha kusasa ukuthi so uyavalwa FINCORP. Thank you so much, MD.